The 40 Hadith of An-Nawawi. Author Abu Zakariya Muhyiddin Yahya bin Sharaf An-Nawawi, died 676 Hijri. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Author's introduction. All praise is due to God, the sustainer of all the worlds, the upholder of the heavens and the earths, the director of all created beings, the sender of messengers. May his blessings and peace be upon them, to those burdened with responsibility, to guide them and to clarify the laws of the religion with definitive proofs and evident arguments. I praise him for all his blessings, and I ask him for an increase of his bounty and generosity. And I bear witness that there is no deity save God, the One, the overpowering, the generous, the forgiving. And I bear witness that our Master Muhammad is his servant, his messenger, his beloved, and his close friend, the best of all created beings, honoured with the mighty Qur'an, the continuous miracle through the succession of years, and with the illuminating Sunnah for those seeking guidance. He who was distinguished with concise yet comprehensive speech and the magnanimity of the religion. May the blessings of God and his peace be upon him, and upon all the prophets and messengers, and the family of each, and all the righteous. To proceed, we have narrated from Ali bin Abi Talib, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Mu'adh bin Jabal, Abu Darda, Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, Anas bin Malik, Abu Huraira, and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may God the Exalted be pleased with them, through many paths and diverse narrations, that the Messenger of God, may God bless him and grant him peace, said, "Whoever preserves for my community 40 hadith regarding the matters of its religion, God will raise him on the day of resurrection in the company of the jurists and the scholars." In another narration, God will raise him as a jurist and a scholar. In the narration of Abu Darda, "And I shall be for him on the day of resurrection an intercessor and a witness." In the narration of Ibn Mas'ud, it will be said to him, "Enter from whichever of the gates of paradise you wish." In the narration of Ibn Umar, he will be recorded in the company of the scholars and gathered in the company of the martyrs. The scholars of hadith have agreed that it is a weak hadith, even though its paths of narration are numerous. The scholars, may God the Exalted be pleased with them, have compiled in this field works beyond counting. The first one I know of to have authored a work in this was Abdullah bin al-Mubarak, then Muhammad bin Aslam al-Tusi, the God-devoted scholar, then Al-Hasan bin Sufyan al-Nasa'i, Abu Bakr al-Ajurri, Abu Bakr bin Ibrahim al-Asfahani, al-Daraqutni, al-Hakim, Abu Nu'aym, Abu Abd al-Rahman al-Sulami, Abu Sa'id al-Malini, Abu Uthman al-Sabuni, Abdullah bin Muhammad al-Ansari, Abu Bakr al-Bayhaqi, and countless multitudes from the earlier and later generations. I have sought proper guidance from God the Exalted in collecting 40 hadith, following the example of these eminent leaders and guardians of Islam. The scholars have agreed upon the permissibility of acting upon a weak hadith regarding virtuous deeds. However, my reliance is not upon this hadith, but rather on his saying, "May God bless him and grant him peace," in the authentic hadith, "Let the one present among you convey to the absent," and his saying, "May God bless him and grant him peace." May God make radiant the face of a person who hears my speech, retains it, and conveys it just as he heard it. Furthermore, among the scholars were those who collected 40 hadith on the fundamentals of the religion, some on the subsidiary branches, some on jihad, some on asceticism, some on manners, and some on sermons. All of these are righteous intentions. May God be pleased with those who intended them. However, I have seen that collecting 40 hadith, more important than all of this, is preferable, namely 40 hadith encompassing all of that. Each hadith among them is a mighty foundation from the foundations of the religion, described by the scholars as being the pivot of Islam, or constituting half of Islam or a third of it, and the like. I adhere in these 40 to the condition that they be authentic, and most of them are found in the two Sahihs of Al-Bukhari and Muslim. I cite them with the chains of narration removed to facilitate their memorization and to make their benefit more general, if God the Exalted wills. I then follow them with a chapter on clarifying the subtleties of their wording. It behooves every person desiring the hereafter to know these hadith, due to what they contain of important matters and their alerting to all acts of obedience. This is apparent to anyone who contemplates it. Upon God is my reliance, and to Him is my entrustment and support. To Him belongs all praise and grace, and from Him comes success and protection. The first hadith. On the authority of the commander of the faithful, Abu Hafs Umar bin al-Khattab, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, I heard the messenger of God, may God the Exalted bless him and his family and grant them peace, say, verily actions are judged only by intentions, and for every person is only what he intended. Thus he whose migration was towards God and his messenger, his migration is towards God and his messenger. And he whose migration was for a worldly portion he might attain, or a woman he might marry, his migration is towards that for which he migrated. Narrated by the two Imams of the scholars of Hadith, Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Ismail bin Ibrahim bin al-Mughira bin Bardizbah al-Bukhari and Abu al-Hussein Muslim bin al-Hajjaj bin Muslim al-Qushayri al-Naysaburi, in their two Sahih collections, which are the most authentic of compiled books. The second Hadith. On the authority of Umar, may God the Exalted be pleased with him also, who said, while we were sitting with the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, one day there appeared before us a man with intensely white clothes and intensely black hair. No trace of travel was seen upon him, and none of us knew him, until he sat down before the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace. He rested his knees against his knees and placed his palms upon his thighs and said, O Muhammad, inform me about Islam. The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Islam is that you bear witness that there is no deity save God, and that Muhammad is the messenger of God, that you establish the prayer, pay the purifying alms, zakah, fast Ramadan, and perform the pilgrimage to the house, if you are able to find a way thither. He said, You have spoken the truth. We were astonished at him asking him and then confirming him. He said, Then inform me about faith, Iman. He answered, It is that you believe in God, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the last day, and that you believe in the decree, the good of it and the bad of it. He said, You have spoken the truth. He said, Then inform me about excellence, Ihsan. He answered, It is that you worship God as though you see Him, for if you do not see Him, then verily He sees you. He said, Then inform me about the hour. He answered, The one questioned about it knows no more than the questioner. He said, Then inform me about its signs. He answered, That the slave girl shall give birth to her mistress, and that you shall see the barefoot, naked, destitute shepherds of sheep competing with one another in raising tall buildings. Then he departed, and I remained for a while. Then he said, O Umar, "Do you know who the questioner was?" I said, "God and his messenger know best." He said, "Verily, it was Gabriel. He came to you to teach you your religion." Narrated by Muslim. The third Hadith. On the authority of Abu Abd al-Rahman Abdullah bin Umar bin al-Khattab, may God the Exalted be pleased with them both, who said, "I heard the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, say, Islam is built upon 5, testifying that there is no deity save God, and that Muhammad is the Messenger of God, establishing the prayer, giving the purifying alms, performing the pilgrimage to the house, and fasting Ramadan." Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The fourth Hadith. On the authority of Abu Abd al-Rahman Abdullah bin Mas'ud, may God be pleased with him, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace, and he is the truthful one, the one believed, related to us. Verily, the creation of one of you is gathered in his mother's womb for 40 days as a drop. Then he becomes a clot of blood for a like period. Then he becomes a morsel of flesh for a like period. Then the angel is sent to him who breathes the Spirit into him and is commanded with 4 words: to write down his provision, his lifespan, his deeds, and whether he is wretched or happy. By God, other than whom there is no deity, verily one of you performs the deeds of the people of paradise until there is but an arm's length between him and it. Then the book overtakes him, and he performs the deeds of the people of the fire and enters it. And verily one of you performs the deeds of the people of the fire until there is but an arm's length between him and it. Then the book overtakes him, and he performs the deeds of the people of paradise and enters it. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The fifth Hadith. On the authority of the mother of the believers, Abdullah Aisha, may God be pleased with her, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Whoever introduces into this matter of ours that which is not of it, it is rejected." Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. In a narration by Muslim, whoever performs a deed which is not in accordance with our matter, it is rejected. The sixth Hadith. On the authority of Abu Abdullah al-Nu'man bin Bashir, may God be pleased with them both, who said, "I heard the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, say, Surely the lawful is clear, and the unlawful is clear, and between them are doubtful matters which many of the people do not know. Thus whoever guards against doubtful matters has sought to clear his religion and his honour, and whoever falls into doubtful matters falls into the unlawful, like the shepherd who pastures his flock around a sanctuary, all but grazing therein. Behold, every king has a sanctuary, and behold, the sanctuary of God is his prohibitions. Behold, there is in the body a lump of flesh. If it is sound, the whole body is sound, and if it is corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. Behold, it is the heart. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The seventh Hadith. On the authority of Abu Ruqayya, Tamim bin Aus al-Dari, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, that the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, "The religion is sincerity, or good counsel." We said, "To whom?" He said, "To God, to his book, to his messenger, to the leaders of the Muslims, and to their common folk." Narrated by Muslim. The eighth Hadith. On the authority of Ibn Umar, may God the Exalted be pleased with them both, that the Messenger of God, may God the Exalted bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, "I have been commanded to fight the people until they testify that there is no deity save God, and that Muhammad is the Messenger of God, and they establish the prayer and pay the purifying alms. If they do that, They have protected their blood and their wealth from me, save by the right of Islam, and their reckoning is with God the Exalted. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 9th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira Abdurrahman bin Sakhr, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, I heard the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, say, What I have forbidden you, avoid, and what I have commanded you, do of it as much as you are able. For verily those before you were destroyed only by their excessive questioning and their differing with their prophets. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 10th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Verily, God the Exalted is pure, and accepts only that which is pure. And verily, God has commanded the believers with that which he commanded the messengers. He, the Exalted, said, O you messengers, eat of the pure things and do righteous deeds. 23:50. And he, the Exalted, said, O you who have attained to faith, eat of the pure things which we have provided for you. 2:772. Then he mentioned a man who prolongs his journey, unkempt and dusty, extending his hands to the sky, saying, O Lord, while his food is unlawful, his drink is unlawful, his clothing is unlawful, and he has been nourished by the unlawful. How then can he be answered? Narrated by Muslim. The 11th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Muhammad al-Hasan bin Ali bin Abi Talib, the grandson of the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, and his fragrant flower, may God be pleased with them both, who said, I have memorized from the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace. Leave that which makes you doubt for that which does not make you doubt. Narrated by Al-Tirmidhi and Al-Nasai. And Al-Tirmidhi said, a good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith. The 12th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Part of the excellence of a person's Islam is his leaving alone that which does not concern him. A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Al-Tirmidhi and others in this manner. The 13th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Hamza Anas bin Malik, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, the servant of the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace. From the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, who said, None of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 14th Hadith. On the authority of Ibn Mas'ud, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, The blood of a Muslim man is not lawful except in one of three cases: the married adulterer, a life for a life, and the one who forsakes his religion and separates from the community. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 15th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, that the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Whoever believes in God and the last day, let him speak good or remain silent. And whoever believes in God and the last day, let him honor his neighbor. And whoever believes in God and the last day, let him honor his guest. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 16th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, that a man said to the Prophet, May God bless him and his family and grant them peace. Counsel me. He said, "Do not become angry." The man repeated his request several times, and he said, "Do not become angry." Narrated by Al-Bukhari. The 17th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Ya'la Shaddad bin Aws, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, from the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, who said, "Verily, God has prescribed excellence, ihsan, in all things. So, if you kill, kill well, and if you slaughter, slaughter well. Let one of you sharpen his blade and give ease to his slaughtered animal." Narrated by Muslim. The 18th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Dhar Jundub bin Junada and Abu Abd al-Rahman Mu'adh bin Jabal, may God the Exalted be pleased with them both, from the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, who said, "Remain conscious of God wherever you are, and follow a bad deed with a good deed which will wipe it out, and behave with people with good character." Narrated by Al-Tirmidhi, who said, "A good Hasan Hadith," and in some copies, "A good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith." The 19th Hadith. On the authority of Abu al-Abbas Abdullah bin Abbas, may God the Exalted be pleased with them both, who said, "I was behind the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace one day. And he said, 'O young man, I shall teach you some words. Be mindful of God, and he will protect you. Be mindful of God, and you will find him before you. If you ask, ask of God, and if you seek help in God. And know that if the entire nation were to gather together to benefit you with something, they would not benefit you except with something that God had already written for you. And if they were to gather together to harm you with something, they would not harm you except with something that God had already written against you. The pens have been lifted and the pages have dried." Narrated by Al-Tirmidhi, who said, "A good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith." In a narration other than that of Al-Tirmidhi, "Be mindful of God, and you will find him in front of you. Acknowledge God in prosperity, and he will acknowledge you in adversity. And know that what missed you was never meant to strike you, and what struck you was never meant to miss you. And know that victory comes with patience, relief with distress, and that with hardship comes ease." The 20th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Mas'ud Uqbah bin Amr al-Ansari al-Badri, may God be pleased with him, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Verily, among the words people have obtained from the earliest prophecy is, if you feel no shame, then do as you wish." Narrated by Al-Bukhari. The 21st Hadith. On the authority of Abu Amr, and it is said Abu Amra, Sufyan bin Abdullah, may God be pleased with him, who said, "I said, O Messenger of God, tell me something about Islam regarding which I shall not ask anyone other than you." He said, "Say, I believe in God, then stand firm, remain steadfast." Narrated by Muslim. The 22nd Hadith. On the authority of Abu Abdullah Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, may God be pleased with them both, that a man asked the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, saying, "Do you see, if I pray the prescribed prayers, fast Ramadan, make lawful the lawful and forbid the unlawful, and do not add anything to that, shall I enter paradise?" He said, "Yes." Narrated by Muslim. The meaning of forbid the unlawful is, I avoided it. The meaning of make lawful the lawful is, I performed it, believing in its lawfulness. That's the 23rd Hadith. On the authority of Abu Malik al-Harith bin al-Ash'ari, may God be pleased with him, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Purity is half of faith. All praise is due to God. Alhamdulillah fills the scale." Glory be to God, Subhanallah, and all praise is due to God fills that which is between the heavens and the earth. Prayer is a light, charity is a proof, and patience is a radiance. The Qur'an is a proof for you or against you. Every person goes forth in the morning and sells his soul, either freeing it or destroying it. Narrated by Muslim. The 24th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, from the Prophet, may God the Exalted bless him and his family and grant them peace, relating from his sustainer, the mighty and majestic, that he said, O my servants, I have forbidden oppression for myself, and have made it forbidden amongst you, so do not oppress one another. O my servants, all of you are astray, except those whom I have guided, so seek guidance of me, and I shall guide you. O my servants, all of you are hungry, except those whom I have fed, so seek food of me, and I shall feed you. O my servants, all of you are naked, except those whom I have clothed, so seek clothing of me, and I shall clothe you. O my servants, you sin by night and by day, and I forgive all sins, so seek forgiveness of me, and I shall forgive you. O my servants, you will never attain the power to harm me, and thus harm me, nor will you attain the power to benefit me, and thus benefit me. O my servants, were the first of you and the last of you, the humans of you and the jinn of you, to be as the most God-conscious heart of any one man of you, that would not increase my kingdom in anything. O my servants, were the first of you and the last of you, the humans of you and the jinn of you, to be as the most wicked heart of any one man of you, that would not decrease my kingdom in anything. O my servants, were the first of you and the last of you, the humans of you and the jinn of you, to rise up in one place and make a request of me, and were I to give everyone what he requested, that would not decrease what I possess, except as the needle decreases the water when inserted into the sea. O my servants, it is but your deeds that I reckon up for you, and then recompense you for. So let him who finds good praise God, and let him who finds other than that blame no one but himself. Narrated by Muslim. The 25th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Dharr, may God be pleased with him also, that some people from the companions of the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said to the Prophet, may God the Exalted bless him and his family and grant them peace. O Messenger of God, the people of great wealth have gone off with the rewards. They pray as we pray, they fast as we fast, and they give charity from the surplus of their wealth. He said, Has not God made for you that which you can give in charity? Verily, in every glorification, tasbih, there is charity. Every magnification, takbir, is charity. Every praise, tahmid, is charity. Every declaration of the oneness of God, tahlil, is charity. Enjoining the good is charity, and forbidding the evil is charity. And in the sexual act of each of you there is charity. They said, O Messenger of God, does one of us fulfill his desire and have a reward in it? He said, Do you see that if he were to place it in the unlawful, would there be a burden of sin upon him? Likewise, if he places it in the lawful, he shall have a reward. Narrated by Muslim. The 26th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, Every joint of the people owes a charity every day upon which the sun rises. Acting justly between two people is charity. Assisting a man with his riding beast by helping him onto it or lifting his wares onto it is charity. A good word is charity. Every step you take toward prayer is charity. and removing a harmful object from the road is charity. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. The 27th Hadith. On the authority of Al-Nawas bin Sam'an, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, from the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, who said, "Righteousness is good character, and sin is that which wavers in your soul and which you dislike the people to become aware of." Narrated by Muslim. And on the authority of Wabisa bin Ma'bad, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, "I came to the messenger of God. May God bless him and his family and grant them peace." And he said, "Have you come to ask about righteousness?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Consult your heart. Righteousness is that wherein the soul finds tranquility and the heart finds tranquility. And sin is that which wavers in the soul and hesitates in the breast, even if the people give you a verdict and give you a verdict." A good Hasan Hadith. We have narrated it in the Musnads of the two Imams, Ahmad bin Hanbal and Al-Darimi, with a good chain of narration. The 28th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Najih al-Irbad bin Sariyah, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, gave us an admonition by which hearts trembled and eyes shed tears. We said, 'O Messenger of God, it is as though this were a farewell admonition, so counsel us.' He said, 'I counsel you to be conscious of God, the mighty and majestic, and to listen and obey, even if a slave is placed in command over you. For indeed, whoever among you lives long will see much differing. So adhere to my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided, directed caliphs. Bite onto it with your molar teeth. And beware of newly invented matters, for every innovation is a going astray." Narrated by Abu Dawud and Al-Tirmidhi, who said, a good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith. The 29th Hadith. On the authority of Mu'adh bin Jabal, may God be pleased with him, who said, I said, "O Messenger of God, inform me of a deed which will admit me into paradise and keep me far from the fire." He said, "You have indeed asked about a mighty matter, yet it is easy for him whom God the Exalted makes it easy. You shall worship God, associating nothing with him. You shall establish the prayer, you shall pay the purifying alms, you shall fast Ramadan, and you shall perform the pilgrimage to the house." Then he said, "Shall I not guide you to the gates of goodness? Fasting is a shield. Charity extinguishes sin, just as water extinguishes fire, and the prayer of a man in the depths of the night." Then he recited, "Their sides forsake their beds," until he reached what they used to do. 32:16-17. Then he said, "Shall I not inform you of the head of the matter, its pillar, and the peak of its hump?" I said, "Yes, O Messenger of God." He said, "The head of the matter is Islam, its pillar is the prayer, and the peak of its hump is jihad." Then he said, "Shall I not inform you of the possessor of all that?" I said, "Yes, O Messenger of God." So he took hold of his tongue and said, "Restrain this upon yourself." I said, "O Prophet of God, are we held accountable for what we speak?" He said, "May your mother be bereaved of you. Does anything cast people into the fire upon their faces?" Or he said, "On their noses, except the harvest of their tongues." Narrated by Al-Tirmidhi, who said, a good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith. The 30th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Tha'laba al-Khushani Jurthum bin Nashir, may God the Exalted be pleased with him. From the Messenger of God, may God bless him and grant him peace, who said, "Verily, God the Exalted has imposed obligations, so do not neglect them. He has set limits, so do not transgress them. He has forbidden things, so do not violate them. and he has remained silent about things out of mercy for you, not out of forgetfulness, so do not search into them. A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Al-Daraqutni and others. The 31st Hadith. On the authority of Abu al-Abbas Sahal bin Sa'd as-Sa'idi, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, who said, "A man came to the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, and said, O Messenger of God, direct me to a deed which, if I do it, God will love me, and the people will love me." He said, "Renounce the world, and God will love you, and renounce what is in the hands of people, and the people will love you." A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Ibn Majah and others with good chains of narration. The 32nd Hadith. On the authority of Abu Sa'id Sa'd bin Malik bin Sinan al-Khudri, may God the Exalted be pleased with him, that the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, "There shall be no harming and no reciprocating of harm." A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Ibn Majah, Al-Daraqutni and others as a connected narration, Musnad. It was also narrated by Malik in Al-Muwatta as a disconnected narration, Mursal, from Amr bin Yahya from his father from the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, omitting Abu Sa'id, and it has paths of narration that strengthen one another. The 33rd Hadith, on the authority of Ibn Abbas, may God be pleased with them both, that the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, "Were people to be given according to their claims, men would claim the wealth and blood of a people. However, the burden of proof is upon the claimant, and the oath is upon the one who denies." A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Al-Bayhaqi and others in this manner, and part of it is in the two Sahihs. The 34th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may God be pleased with him, who said, "I heard the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, say, whoever among you sees an evil, let him change it with his hand. If he is unable, then with his tongue. And if he is unable, then with his heart, and that is the weakest of faith." Narrated by Muslim. The 35th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God be pleased with him, who said, "The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, said, do not envy one another, do not artificially inflate prices, do not hate one another, do not turn away from one another, and do not undercut one another in trade, but be, O servants of God, brothers. The Muslim is the brother of the Muslim. He does not oppress him, nor forsake him, nor lie to him, nor hold him in contempt. God consciousness, taqwa, is here. And he pointed to his chest 3 times. It is sufficient evil for a man to hold his brother Muslim in contempt. Every Muslim is inviolable to another Muslim, his blood, his wealth, and his honour. Narrated by Muslim. The 36th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God be pleased with him, from the Prophet, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, who said, "Whoever relieves a believer of a distress from the distresses of this world, God will relieve him of a distress from the distresses of the day of resurrection. Whoever grants ease to one in difficulty, God will grant him ease in this world and the hereafter. Whoever screens a Muslim, God will screen him in this world and the hereafter. God is in aid of the servant, so long as the servant is in aid of his brother. Whoever treads a path seeking knowledge therein, God will make easy for him thereby a path to paradise. No people gather in one of the houses of God, reciting the book of God and studying it among themselves, but that tranquility descends upon them, mercy covers them, the angels surround them, and God mentions them to those in his presence. And whoever is slowed down by his deeds, his lineage will not hasten him forward. Narrated by Muslim with this wording. The 37th Hadith. On the authority of Ibn Abbas, may God be pleased with them both, from the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace. Among that which he relates from his sustainer, blessed and exalted, is he who said, "Verily, God has written down the good deeds and the bad deeds." Then he clarified that. So, whoever intends a good deed, but does not do it, God writes it down with himself as a complete good deed. And if he intends it and does it, God writes it down with himself as 10 good deeds to 700 times to many multiples. And if he intends a bad deed but does not do it, God writes it down with himself as a complete good deed. And if he intends it and does it, God writes it down as one bad deed. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim in their two Sahihs with these words. So look, O my brother, may God grant us and you success at the magnitude of the kindness of God the Exalted, and contemplate these words. His saying with himself is an indication of his care for it, and his saying complete is for emphasis and intense care for it. And he said regarding the bad deed which one intended but then abandoned, God writes it down with himself as a complete good deed, emphasizing it with complete. And if he did it, he writes it down as one bad deed, emphasizing its minimization with one, and not emphasizing it with complete. To God belongs all praise and favor. Glory be to him, we cannot enumerate his praise. And with God lies all success. The 38th Hadith. On the authority of Abu Huraira, may God be pleased with him, who said, the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace, said, Verily, God the Exalted said, Whoever shows enmity to a friend, wali of mine, I have declared war upon him. My servant does not draw near to me with anything more beloved to me than what I have made obligatory upon him. And my servant continues to draw near to me with supererogatory deeds until I love him. When I love him, I become his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees, his hand with which he grasps, and his foot with which he walks. Were he to ask of me, I would surely give him, and were he to seek refuge in me, I would surely grant him refuge. Narrated by Al-Bukhari. The 39th Hadith. On the authority of Ibn Abbas, may God be pleased with them both, that the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace, said, Verily, God has pardoned for me my community their mistakes, their forgetfulness, and that which they have been forced to do. A good Hasan Hadith, narrated by Ibn Majah, Al-Bayhaqi, and others. The 40th Hadith. On the authority of Ibn Umar, may God be pleased with them both, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family and grant them peace, took hold of my shoulders and said, Be in this world as though you were a stranger or a wayfarer. And Ibn Umar, may God the Exalted be pleased with them both, used to say, If you survive till the evening, do not wait for the morning. And if you survive till the morning, do not wait for the evening. Take from your health for your sickness, and from your life for your death. Narrated by Al-Bukhari. The 41st Hadith. On the authority of Abu Muhammad Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, may God be pleased with them both, who said, The Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace, said, None of you believes until his desire follows that which I have brought. A good and authentic Hasan Sahih Hadith. We have narrated it in the book Al-Hujjah, with an authentic chain of narration. The 42nd Hadith. On the authority of Anas, may God be pleased with him, who said, I heard the Messenger of God, may God bless him and his family, and grant them peace, say, God the Exalted said, O son of Adam, so long as you call upon me and hope in me, I shall forgive you for what you have done, and I shall not mind. O son of Adam, were your sins to reach the clouds of the sky, and were you then to ask forgiveness of me, I would forgive you. O son of Adam, were you to come to me with sins nearly as great as the earth, and were you then to meet me, attributing no partner to me, I would come to you with forgiveness nearly as great as it. Narrated by Al-Tirmidhi, who said, a good and authentic Hasan Sahih.